Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons show! We're still continuing to use Skype for the meantime, so you might see videos resizing at weird times, but they'll go back to normal, so just ignore it. Hopefully today we'll have less technical issues than the last time we tried. Nick, do you want to go ahead and do some player introductions, and then I will start with some announcements?
Sure. I should probably write some announcements for you at some point, huh? I'm Nick. I play Thaddeus, the Human Inventions Paladin.
I'm Kay. I play Harmony, who's the Tiefling Wild Magic Sorcerer.
I'm Melissa, and I play Mara, who is a swashbuckler. Human. Rogue.
Pirate. Player. I'm Zach, and I play Hunter, who's a Warforged Fighter Ranger.
So we normally stream on Twitch every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, but for the meantime, videos will be going directly to YouTube. We use a custom wild magic table as well as a variety of custom items throughout the campaign, so if you're interested in any of that, that's what's going on. Our music comes from BattleBards, TabletopAudio, and Incompetech, and the character portraits, which you'll see cycling in the top right, come from an artist named Carrie Peach, who goes by @CarrieDraws on Twitter. If you're interested in anything I just mentioned, information about it can be found in the channel page. And then if you're still wanting to have more information about us, you can go to Twitter and follow us @AntiheroesAnon on there. Other than that, we hope you enjoy the show, and we're going to do a little bit of a recap, and then we'll get straight into it. So, the party finally arrived at their ultimate destination of the Elderhaven Reaches, with the task set before them by the great spirit Gembu, the black turtle, to find these 3 sacred treasures in which the other great spirits had been sealed. Gembu had given you a heading on the 3 treasures, one being sealed within the Forest of Death, on the island of... why can't I remember my own island names? Hazuki?
Hazuki.
Yep. One being sealed within an ancient Tengu monastery converted into robotic mind flayer lab on the island of Hanagasumi, and then one being sealed within the ancient Imperial Palace. And so, making your way southward from where you entered the Elderhaven Reaches, you started off with the island of Hazuki, where you made your way into the Forest of Death and encountered ghosts and flying squirrel spirits that latched onto your faces and shot bats at you and blinded you, and horrible blood-sucking trees that were utterly ineffective against you. And then eventually found your way, with the guidance of the ghost of one of your nemesis's former companions, to the temple, the ancient temple of Byakko. And you were sort of forced to enter there quickly as a tide of bones and skulls and things rose up out of the forest and was about to swallow the temple whole. And we left off with the group of you sort of taking in the scene after you entered the temple, which was basically a group of skeletons putting on a play on a center stage in the middle of this big 50-foot by 50-foot room, with a pair of skeletons in resplendent samurai armor observing this warrior training play that they were putting on from a balcony up above. And then there was a door leading off to the left, a door leading across from you underneath the balcony, and the door behind that you came from, and you were sort of deciding what you wanted to do next. And so that's where I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
So, these skeleton things have been ignoring us,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't look like they're a threat. And
Right.
we determined that they didn't really look like they knew how to fight because they were being manipulated
They're like play acting and fighting. They're not.
yeah, yeah.
Really fighters.
So we can just ignore them and keep going? Or do you want to talk to them and see if they know where this treasure is that we're supposed to be finding?
Do you think we should interrupt their play acting?
I mean, maybe not, but if we sit and become their audience, maybe they'll appreciate us watching them.
Are there any like open spots in the stage?
I would say roll a perception check, but there's one point I have to make here, which you're gonna all hate me for, which is that this area counts as the spirit world.
No.
Yes.
What?
So
No.
as before,
That's news.
as before, all of your scores are reduced to 10 for the purposes of calculating saves, attacks, and skill checks, as well as spell save DCs, but not HP and AC. Except for Mara,
who's very special.
yes, and Byakko as well. And then also, none of your magic items function except for those on Mara's person, and who is Mara is attuned to.
So the reduction to the ability scores affects everything except for what? HP and what?
HP and AC.
Okay. I feel like I had my AC affected last time.
Oh, well, it shouldn't have
That's
been.
because you had a magic item that affected it.
Right.
I think, right?
It was, because magic items are also inert, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I did.
So, like,
yeah, I do.
My shield is a shield, but it's only +2 instead of +3.
Right.
And so now my bracers of whatever they're called, bracers of defense, don't give me that extra +2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Hunter wanted to look for a space within the group of fighters, but he can roll a perception check, but it will just be lowered, basically.
That is a 19.
19. Yeah, there are spaces. Like, the stage is pretty wide. It's like a 30-foot diameter, like, circular stage. So there's several skeletons on there, but there's plenty of room in there that you could get within them if you wanted to.
So I guess what I'm wondering is that, like, is there spaces where there should be people play acting that they're not, and like we're supposed to
Oh, I
those
see.
positions and, like, as like a puzzle or something. I'm looking for like those types of spaces. I should have said.
Oh, I see.
I thought he wanted to jump right in and join
I
him.
know.
I mean, I would if, you know, that was how you know.
In that case, no, it looks like a regular like scene of warrior training, but with your perception check, what you do notice is that sort of above, because there's that raised balcony. Yes, I don't know why I can't remember the word balcony. It's like, it's in my head now that I've just forgotten this word. Anyways, on that raised balcony where there's the two skeletons in resplendent armor, one of them in white and one of them in red, there is a tiger skull mounted on the wall behind the two of them that you notice for the first time.
What was the treasure associated with Byakko that we're here to find?
Do we know the answer to that question? We know what the 3 treasures are, right? We know it's
we saw each of the treasures in the dream. Like, I remember that Sadio had like a mirror.
Right. The one that Hunter saw in his dream was a sword.
Right. It must have been, because mine was the jewel, I think.
Okay.
So we're looking for a sword.
So to speak, yes.
Okay.
So, I guess if there isn't anything obvious, you said there's a tiger skull that's mounted.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything particular about the skull that?
No, it's just that sort of like from your angle it was a little bit obscured, but as you sort of take a look around the room, you notice it for the first time.
Okay. Other than that, I would just kind of shrug and just say, well, I guess we just pick a door now. I can't see anything else.
Right. So to remind you then, there's the one that's straight ahead,
left.
there's the one to the left, and there's one behind you.
Well, the one behind us where we came from, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I look at Byakko. Which door should we go through, Byakko?
He kind of shrugs his massive tiger shoulders.
I mean, this is kind of your temple, right? Or your temple of your people?
He like cocks his head a little bit to the side.
I point to the tiger skull.
Do you want me to? Army, do you want me to talk to him about it? And
I
see
mean, he
what they- what they-
understands us. You don't need to waste another spell slot on that. 'Cause
I
he
think I can
doesn't
cast as a
understand
ritual,
us.
right?
Yeah, but then you're wasting 10 minutes.
That's true.
Let's just go to the left.
Yeah, let's just go left. It's fine.
Okay. You make your way to the left door, and as you pull open the door, there's not actually a physical space beyond the door that you can see. There's just like this white light, like a plane of white light.
Like we're in Dark Souls now.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Cool.
Can I reach my hand into it?
Yeah, and your hand sort of disappears into the white light, so you can basically see your arm as if it were like missing the hand at the end of it, but you still feel your hand and you can like
Wait,
wiggle your fingers.
Is Hunter in his human form right now? Or is was it
Uh,
a mixture of human and android before? Or Warforged before?
It was like a hat. It was like a human wearing armor type of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Are you in that form again?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
is.
know.
He
Or
is.
am I? Okay.
I'm my normal height. I'm the height I was before I started.
You have.
In
you have
fact-
a tall soul.
In fact, Harmony, you're a little bit taller than your original physical
Oh,
form.
overcompensating
Like
for something. Nice. Okay, so yeah, I guess if I just shrug to the group, I guess let's go in, and then I'll walk through.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure about this, but okay.
Would you like me to go first?
No, I'll head him.
No, I was talking to her.
I
You're
mean, if
right,
Hunter
through.
goes through, then yeah. Whatever. Go ahead.
All right. Well, as whoever steps through first, it sounds like it was
I think
Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you see on the other side when you step through the light, the light plane like continues behind you, and you can see your friends stepping through, as if they're like emerging, just from a space beyond that you cannot see whatsoever. So it's like one of their hands will come through, and then their head, But before you, you see another stage in the center. This room is also like a 50-foot by 50-foot room, and there's another like 30-foot stage in the center of the room. But this stage is covered in statues of trees, basically. They look like the same sort of fall trees that you saw out in the forest. But they're statues, and they're all painted completely black. Though some of them seem to be decorated with script here and there, written in red. But it's hard to make out what they say from this distance. And there are countless skeletons that hang by nooses from the branches of the trees. And then from this room, you can see that there's a door straight across from you, a door to your right, and a door to your left.
Hang on, I got some graph paper so I can start drawing a map.
All right.
What is it with this place and the frickin' skeletons hanging from trees?
I know. Do they remind us of anybody? Or are they going to give us really guilty feelings?
I'm purposely not looking at them.
So
I mean-
we came to this door through the left room from the first room, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And this room, where are the exits here?
Right, left, and straight ahead.
So
And the
there's
right, yeah. And the right one is where we came through, right?
The one behind you is where you came from.
So there's every wall has a door.
Yep,
Looks like-
essentially.
Oh, okay.
all rooms have doors.
Yeah.
All rooms have doors.
And now we've gone full circle.
No, we've only gone through one room yet. Okay. So, and this is just like a bunch of trees, and every tree has a skeleton on it.
Right.
Sorry to make you repeat stuff. I'm just trying
Are
to like
these-
draw a map here.
Are these trees the vampire trees, or are they
Uh,
regular trees?
they look to be like carved from stone or something like that. They're statuesque.
Oh, okay.
Hunter, can you read the writing that's on there?
I
On
can
some
try.
of them?
I will try
Is
and read
it-
the writing.
Is it keen?
Yeah, it is. So, Hunter, you want to step up on the stage and take a look at the writing on the trees?
I suppose I do.
I'll
Okay.
help you. I can read
Oh, you can read it too. Yeah.
Well, la-di-da. I'm just
Wow.
gonna sit back here and be useless.
I'll help you
But
do that,
tall.
Harmony.
But tall.
So the two of you sort of step up onto the stage and begin to take a look at the writing, and basically each one of the notes amounts to a like a tragic suicide note. It's basically like, I don't see the point of living anymore. I don't know why I should go on. There's nothing left for me in this world. And then there's no signature, but each of them is wording to that effect.
Okay.
So guys, it's nothing but grim writing.
It's a bunch of Debbie Downers.
Oh, no hints as to which direction we should go.
No help.
Let's go left.
But, sorry, there's one other thing. When you step up on the stage that you can see, which is that in the very center of the stage, there's actually a circle painted in red, and then there's 5 holes sort of going around the circle that are numbered in keying 1 through 5.
5 holes. Okay. What do we put in these holes?
Basically another
In
door.
the stage?
Mm-hmm. Like in the floor of the stage.
Like big enough to fit through?
No, they're small, like maybe this size.
I'm gonna climb up on stage with them
Sure.
and use my mage hand to stick a finger inside hole number 1.
Okay, yeah, the finger goes in and kind of wiggle it around.
Does anything happen?
Nothing happens, no.
Okay.
Well, it's
Can
not
we-
trapped.
Can we look for it?
Put your eye to it. See if you can see something.
I just wanted to make sure nothing was gonna try and grab it, you know?
Can we look for a right-sized thing to put in these?
A right-sized thing around this room? Sure. I mean, roll an
guess.
investigation check.
All right.
The right size thing.
I don't know what it is.
Look
so-
in it. Look in it and see if you can see. You've got dark vision.
I
Yeah,
know, but I'm
dark
not
vision.
sticking my face up
We need
against
dark
that
vision?
hole.
Floor.
That is 12 plus 17.
17. Yeah, you kind of... Some of the branches on the trees of this room look like they might fit in, but what you notice when you sort of like take a close look at the holes themselves is that at the end of each of the holes, they go down a little ways, but at the end of each of them, there looks like a key mechanism, like a keyhole mechanism. Like some specific thing is meant to fit in each of these.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at the branches of the trees to see if any of them look like they're shaped like keys.
Sure. Roll an investigation check.
I have a carpenter's kit.
I rolled a 1.
Trying to fashion something.
You're too
No,
short.
Harmony, you like spend a little bit of time trying to climb the trees and you can't get up there, so eventually you pretty much just give up, I think.
Okay.
I sit
So it's
down
not
at
that
the
there's
base of the tree.
It's not that there's like a switch that we need something long to push down into it. It's actually like there's like a key mechanism where
Yeah.
you said like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We might find the keys in other rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we want to search this room a little bit for the keys, or do you want to continue
Sure.
on?
It's no use. There's nothing here.
I'm gonna keep looking in in some of these suicide stands to see if any of them is carrying something.
I
Yeah.
Oh,
already
okay.
looked.
Roll
investigation.
either investigation or perception, your choice.
Literally making a duck face, okay?
I'm not trained in either of those. So they're the same.
You can help me if you want.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. I'll
And we
help
can
you.
do it together. That's pretty good. That is a 23.
A 23?
And I could have gotten it myself.
None of them seem to be holding anything in
Okay.
particular. Let me see if there's anything else to be found in this room. Let me check my notes real quick.
Magic items that don't work.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, You do a thorough search of the stage area of this room. You go around the outskirts of the stage. As far as you can tell, there's nothing else in this room to be found.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay, so you hand the wand over to Mara, and Mara, as the wand touches your hand, you can feel it's like magic reactivates.
So you can cast detect magic 3 times.
I have never held one of these in my life. Tell me how it works.
I mean, you just like do like a swish and a flick, and
yeah.
you can cast detect magic, and then I think for 10 minutes, anything within 30 feet, 60 feet of you.
I want to say it's 30.
Swish and flick.
Anything within the area that is magical, you'll see with like a glow, and you'll be able to tell what school of magic it comes from and all that stuff.
All right, here we go. So Mara does it in her unique fashion.
Her swashbuckler flourish.
There we go. What do I see?
Hold on. I'm just trying to see what the actual range is. I think it's 30.
It's like basically
within 30 feet. So you do the swish, you do the flick in your Mara style, and there's a flash of magic as your eyes then light up, and you can see all of the little pinpricks of magic that come from the magic items that your friends are carrying. So even though they're not active at the moment because of the nature of the spirit world, you can still detect them as magic. You don't see anything else in this entire room that radiates with a magic aura, though.
But lasts for 10 minutes, so you might as well peek your head into all 3 of these doors and see if you can see anything.
Yeah.
In each of the other rooms too.
Great, guys.
You can check for traps. You're the only one that's not affected by this stupid place.
You're so sneaky.
Fine.
You don't even have to roll for that.
Flossy.
We're right here behind you.
Supposed to be still negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're right behind you.
Fine. Let's go. Come on.
We're not gonna find anything.
All right. So left, right, or forward?
Okay. So we just came from. Well, let's go forward.
Okay.
Okay, so further to the west, I guess. At least in my rendering of this.
That's how I have it too. Yeah, we'll say that's west.
You might not get the stat.
You poke your head. Basically, you open up that door, and then it's the same thing. There's just this white field of light that you can't see beyond. But when you poke your head through the white field of light, you can see into another room, which, just like the one before, is a stage with skeletons on it. But they are... sorry, hold on. Actually, sorry. This is like the stage that you're in. It's decorated with like statues of trees. These ones aren't painted black. And the only 2 skeletons that are on the stage are the one in the pristine white armor and the one in the pristine red armor. And they seem to be locked in an intense combat. The one in the red armor is actually surrounded by a couple skeletons that are painted completely black, that are using black streamers and fabric to whirl and whoosh around the red-clad skeleton and give it this sort of evil, dramatic flair to it. And as you watch this duel go on, it starts to look like the one in white is about to lose. And back in the room, as you're observing that, the group of you notice that the air quality in here starts to get a little bit thin, and you begin to see there's actually a gas appearing sort of in the boughs of the trees and filtering down towards you.
Oof.
But Mara, you can't see that. You're watching this pair locked in combat in the next room.
Okay, do they have weapons, actual weapons?
Yeah, they each have katanas, so basically like Elderhaven Reaches style longswords that they're each wielding to in an attempt to kill the other one, it seems.
Well, there's 2 swords.
Are there exits in this room?
The one that Mara's looking into?
Yeah.
Yes, there are exits left, right, and straight ahead.
Jesus Christ.
Oh gosh.
Oh, sorry, I mixed that up. There's left and right, but no straight ahead.
Okay.
But the three of you in the room that you're in are starting to see this gas come down. Are you going to do anything?
Let's pull Mara back into this room.
Uh-huh.
Is the gas still coming down?
Yep. And it's
Okay.
getting closer and closer to culminating around the floor and the layer of the room that you're in.
Let's go through this door then and
Yes.
get the
let's
fuck
do that.
out.
I guess we should.
Okay.
Okay.
So all of you emerge into that room that I just described, and you can see these this white-clad skeleton and this red-clad skeleton locked in combat, with the red one sort of surrounded by these black-painted skeletons that are using black fabric and streamers to like show the effects of like dark magic around this red-clad skeleton. And you watch as the duel sort of comes to a culmination as the black painted skeletons lift up the red clad skeleton and drive him forward towards the white one, and in a single smooth move he with his sword decapitates the white clad skeleton.
Hunter, do you recognize the armor on these
I'm
skeletons?
guessing these are the two followers that from the history of the shrine that both died in the end or something,
What?
right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's talking about the history information that you figured out yesterday for this forest.
I think I might have been AFK for that.
Okay. I will.
Also, a lot of it got destroyed by.
Yeah.
I'll recap for you then.
Give us a quick recap.
I'll recap for you.
A week later.
Yep.
Yeah.
What Hunter remembered about the history of this forest was that it was once actually known for its incredible beauty and was considered sacred because of it. And so for that reason, Byakko and Byakko's followers built a temple within the forest. And warriors came from all over the country to train here under Byakko's most powerful servants. A pair of friends that were inseparable at the time. But something happened, and those two followers had a bit of a falling out, and they had a fight. And in the course of that fight, though no one really knows what happened, both of them died, and the forest has never been the same since. Like, there have been deaths and murders and suicides. Basically, a dark spirit of some kind settled on the forest after their fight.
And that happened a long time before Orin arrived, right?
A very long time before Orin arrived, yes.
Okay.
This is ancient history for the Elderhaven Readers.
Okay.
So you think these two are the two friends that killed each other?
That's my first thought.
I wonder if we went the same direction, or further in the other direction from the first room, if we would find the same scene, though, of like one winning.
Maybe.
Also, did the wand pick up any magic while we're in here?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. You are in this room. Each of the skeletons in here is animated by some kind of magic, so they glow kind of faintly when you look at them, but nothing in particular. Though as you sort of speculate about this and sort of look around the room with Detect Magic, the last thing you see of this scene is that the white-clad skeleton, which is now lying headless on the floor, was clutching in one of its hands the skull of the tiger skull, and the red-clad skeleton stands over it, picks up the tiger skull, and holds it in its hand, but the tiger skull then basically disintegrates into dust that blows on a wind that none of you can feel, and vanishes, and then the skeleton stands still.
Okay.
If we inspect the red-clad skeleton, is there any, like, I don't know, I'm not looking for, like, a name tag or anything, but, like, any, like, writing or any, like, signifying evidence of who he could be portraying?
You want to sort of step up on the stage and take a look?
Sure.
As you step up onto there and look at the red-clad skeleton specifically, or which one
Yep.
did you say?
Well, he's the one that's alive, right?
Right, though he's not moving at the moment. He's kind of standing still, his hand as if it were holding the skull of the tiger, which just disintegrated away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at him.
Roll an investigation check.
Sure. Oh, that's not good. That's a 13.
A 13. You don't find anything that identifies him as one person or another. Like, there's no writing on his armor or anything like that. But as you take a closer look at his body, you notice there's something a little bit weird about the base of his neck. Like, the pieces of his spine don't seem to fit together quite right.
Okay. Can I look at that? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, to look anymore, you'd probably have to, like, take off the thing's, like, helmet or head. But you can just see there's something weird about the base of his spine.
Okay. So I'll mention that to the group. But yeah, we can't.
Like he's been decapitated before.
Oh, maybe. That's actually a pretty good insight. Maybe this story plays out multiple ways.
Oh, could be.
So.
What else is in the
I'm gonna
room?
get up on stage and try and take off the guy's head.
Okay. It's not hard. Like, you don't have to roll for it or anything. The head just comes off. And when you pull off the head and are holding the samurai helm-clad skull in your arms, what you see at the base of the spine is that the spine has actually been whittled so that the tip of it culminates in the head of a key.
Ah.
Oh.
Is it possible to take the key?
You'd have to, like, take this thing's spine. But yeah,
Can I check the white clad one?
you want to, like, pull off its head?
Yeah. Well, it got decapitated.
That's true,
right?
yeah.
So its head should already be.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You like kind of go on the ground, look at its spine, and its spine seems like a perfectly normal spine, albeit severed from the head that once rested upon its shoulders.
I'll take the spine.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
guess.
Oh dear.
Yeah, there's like no reaction as this thing basically falls apart. We
my
pull
God.
the spine out of it, sort of like it was meant to happen. And the other bones of the skeleton basically just fall onto the floor. And the armor, the pristine red armor, clatters to the ground with it.
Huh. Okay.
Is there an indication on the spine of like a number?
Nope, not that you can see.
Okay. So we have a key, but we don't know which key it is.
So far, yeah. Okay, well, let's, I guess, look for the other 4.
Well, that's progress.
Yeah. So as I can see it, we can either go
Exits
south
from
or north,
here
right?
are left and left and right, based on where you entered the room.
Left and
Yeah.
north.
On my map, it's north and south.
Yeah,
I think it's what
we have
you're
the
going
same.
to, right?
Mhm.
Do you
Okay.
think that if we go back, the gas is still going to be there?
I can check.
That's right. You don't have to breathe.
I don't have
Yeah.
to breathe.
Yeah, you should check.
I think it would be good for us to go back through a door anyway, just because I'm not sure that all these rooms match up in the way that they think they will.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the other 2 rooms out of the last room.
Well, if we don't want to go back, I would vote we go south then, and then we, at that point, go east. And then that should get us adjacent to that other room, assuming that they're connected.
I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying. I want to test that
Cardinal
assumption. So
direction.
let's go back.
Okay. Yep. Let's go back then.
Okay, so Hunter, you poke your head back into the other room, and you're instantly greeted by a room that is filled with this noxious green gas. And I need you to make a Constitution saving throw,
No, he
Okay.
doesn't breathe.
even though he doesn't breathe. It's magic gas. It's spirit gas.
I rolled a natural
There's-
20 against spirit gas.
Oh, okay. You're gonna take half damage. Let me just see how much you take.
Okay.
I need to roll. So that's 8. So Sorry, just one of those. So it would have been 26, but it's reduced to 13 points of poison damage.
Okay. Which is reduced again.
Right, because you're resistant, because you're a robot.
Yep. So then it's
6. So it's 6.
6.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get out of the damage completely.
Come.
Is it just down to 0?
Well, I mean, like rogues do that. Right?
Do I even have to roll?
Yeah, I'm just so good at Constitution saves.
You guys
so
suck.
I'll.
I'm sorry, Melissa. I'm sorry.
So I'll bring my head back and I'll be like coughing. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah, you don't want to go back in there. It's not good stuff. It's not that strong, though. Just kidding.
Well, let's go left then.
Okay. So we're going south.
Okay. So left from this room.
Well, yeah.
Too late.
Okay.
So who's going first into this room then? If it's too late for Hunter, I've been assuming Hunter's going first up till now.
Yeah. So
Well, Mara should go first because
Mara's
she's
going first.
Okay. So if Mara is going first, Mara, you step through the door, and it's the same sort of thing where it's a white plane of light that you sort of have to step through. But on the other side, what you see is the same sort of stage from the first room you were in, where there's a bunch of skeletons in rusty, ancient-looking samurai armor that are sparring with one another. Except up on the platform, or the balcony, there's no red-clad skeleton. There's only the white-clad skeleton. And all of the skeletons that are training, their rusty armor has been painted white as well. And then, why don't you make me a perception check?
17.
17. It looks like the white-clad skeleton is holding something just below the edge of the balcony, so you can't see what it's holding, but it's red, whatever it is.
Okay, so I'm the only one in there?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll step back out and tell everybody what I saw.
Is this room filling with gas now that she's through the white light?
No, not at this point in time.
Well, let's go in.
Yeah.
That thing might be a key.
Yeah, it might be.
Let's go. Probably won't be.
Okay. So the group of you step into this room and you see the same thing that Mara saw, which is these skeletons in white samurai armor, training under the watchful gaze of a skeleton in pristine white armor, holding something red in its hand, but you can't tell what it is.
Can I use Mage Hand to take it away from him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's only like 20 feet up, so the mage hand can reach that. When your mage hand rises above the edge of the balcony, and you can actually see what he's holding, it looks to be an arm bone that has been painted entirely red, and the arm bone culminates in a
Alright, so Mara's going first through the door, straight ahead.
Alright, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the point, there's no magic. You just shove me through.
After you, Mara.
Mara, you go straight through the door and find yourself back in a room you've seen before, witnessing the fight play out between the red-clad skeleton and the...
Interesting.
Oh, sorry. Am I reading the wrong one? No, yeah, I'm right.
I didn't catch any of that. I froze again.
Yep.
All right.
You find yourself back in the room you've seen before, witnessing the fight again playing out between the red-clad skeleton and the white-clad skeleton, where the red-clad skeleton is backed by the ones painted completely black that are using black streamers and fabric to sort of show effects and things like that. And you watch sort of with mystified disbelief as this white skeleton fights without the use of its spine. Like its bones seem to just be floating there.
I thought it was the red skeleton spine that we took.
No, it's the white one.
Are you sure? Because the white
Oh, maybe I've
one
got it wrong.
Lost.
Yep, you're right. I'm
Yeah,
reading it
the
wrong.
one-
I'm
And I
reading it
checked,
wrong.
And I didn't have
Mhm.
one.
I'm reading it wrong. Sorry. It is the red one that is fighting without the use of its spine. Its pieces seem to just be floating in place.
Really
But
good stagehands.
you watch as the scene plays out exactly the same, with the red one decapitating the white one, taking the tiger skull, and then the tiger skull disintegrates and blows away on a wind that none of you can feel.
Okay. So I'm a bit worried here. Because if we go back and we go left instead of straight, if that room connects to the gas room, which I'm assuming it does,
Then we're out of rooms.
then we have 4 keys and
We only have
no
3
more rooms.
keys.
Or 4
Let's-
rooms, 3 keys.
Yeah. Let's check. Let's make sure this is the same room, because I think you're right. This is the same room we saw before. But let's check these bodies just to make sure that there's not another key here.
Yeah, check for more keys, I guess.
I'm gonna check the white skeleton.
Okay.
Mm.
Roll an investigation check.
What?
Roll an investigation check.
I'm gonna check the skeleton wearing the white armor. White skeleton is just a very convenient.
No,
check.
no, I was grunting because I checked it before, but I only looked at the spine. I didn't roll a check.
Oh, I see.
Check the whole thing. But I was like, already looked! Oh, but I
No, I know you did, and the only reason I'm looking is not because I think I'll find something here, but in case I do, I want to make sure that it's not the same room. You know?
Yeah.
I think it is. I got a 13.
Yeah, you do sort of a thorough check of this skeleton, taking your time to check all of the various bones and things, and you don't find anything remotely key-shaped.
Yeah. I think we're back to where we've been before.
I want to take the head off of the red skeleton and make sure the spine is still gone.
Yeah, like the head was just floating there, and you kind of take it off, and you can feel like a little bit of magical resistance as you pull it off, but you're able to separate it. And you're now then just holding this skull with a red samurai helm. And there's no spine holding the rest of this body together.
So we've definitely been here because we took the spine.
Yeah. So I wonder if we go back to the previous room, if it'll take us actually back to the previous room or to a different room. And if there's any, because we haven't backtracked every room either.
I'm
Right?
so confused. But that's true, we haven't backtracked at all, except for to the tree room.
So
Yeah.
Yes.
from where you guys entered this room, exits are left and straight ahead, or behind
Right.
you where you came from.
So I would
Yeah.
vote that we go behind.
Because left is the tree room, and straight
then
ahead is the
Left is
room
not
where
the
we
tree.
got the arm.
Left is not the tree room. Left is
Yes,
the
from
room.
here, left is the tree
Left
room.
the tree room.
We entered from the other side this time.
This is the map
Oh.
that I have.
Let's see.
It's all blurry.
It's going to be impossible to read.
No, I see what you mean, but left is still not the tree room. Left is the room.
Left is
above the
this.
tree room.
We're right here.
Oh, I see what you mean. No,
We entered from the top arrow.
Yeah, no, I see. I'm on track now. Let's backtrack and then go through that left.
Yes,
door.
correct.
Yes, yes.
That right door from where we're
If we
coming in
backtrack,
from.
yeah.
AKA west door.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay,
I get
got it. Yes. So we're gonna go backtracking then.
Okay.
We enter
Yeah, you
door
find
with-
you find your way back into the room that you left.
femur key.
The one with the femur key.
Okay.
Although this room also has a door we've never been through.
Correct.
Yeah, and we didn't go through it because
We
we were
thought that was
thinking
the
that it would link back to the trees.
tree room.
Yep,
Yeah,
it
but
might
we'll
not.
have to try it. We have to try
It might not.
You want to try it while we're in here?
I think so.
Yeah, who wants to risk getting hurt by poison?
I haven't been in the poison yet.
Well, I'm resistant, so
Oh.
Yeah, let
Okay.
Hunter do it.
I can
He can
hold my
tough it out
breath
better
and
than we
poke
can.
my head in, or something.
Okay. You poke your head through the white light barrier that separates this door and the one. So from where you backtracked into this room, it's
It
the
would
one
be
on the
door
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
You stick your head through the white light barrier that separates this room from whatever is beyond, and do find yourself looking at the forest room that you saw before with the bodies hanging, but the gas seems to have dissipated.
Oh, okay. So I'll bring myself back and say tree room, but the gas is gone.
Do we want to try the keys that we have right now and see if that does anything that might lead us to another room with more keys?
We also haven't been through 2 doors in the tree room.
No, we have.
Assuming that these are actually all
Assuming
interconnected.
that, yeah, because
They
we
don't.
poked our head back into the tree room twice. So I assume that this door leads through the door, and then the one from the arm key room leads back into the tree room through the
So
2 doors that we didn't go through
technically,
before.
the only room.
No, I know, but if we go into this tree room, I think we've only tried 1 door in there, honestly.
Well, unless you
Unless
assume
you think
poking
that
your head back and forth counts as going back and forth.
unless you think that going through the doors from the tree room is going to lead to a different place than the rooms that we've already been in.
Because then in that case, the only room we would want to go through is to the starting room.
Can I show you my map?
Sure.
I'm not so.
If only we were doing this in person, it'd be so much easier to show maps.
I don't think we've been through this door or this one.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it connects to these.
So
See?
It connects to these empty
See how I
spaces.
have it?
I'll do mine too.
Those long ones are the ones
Yeah,
you're
I just made
talking
big
about.
long doors.
I can't wait to show you guys my map.
Show it, show it.
I'll show you later. I'll show you later.
I think they might lead to different places. I don't
Let's
know.
try it. Let's try it.
I want to try one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's all go
Yeah,
into
that's what I was saying.
We're going
Unless
to
you
the
think
tree room.
that going through the door from the tree room is going to lead to a different place than coming from
Yeah,
this room to the tree room.
I do.
Okay,
Which
let's do it.
that's where my brain starts to explode. Because I can't draw that.
I'll have to revamp my map if that's the case, but that's okay. So yeah, we'll go into the tree room.
Okay.
From the north door.
And
whatever you wanna
before
call
we
it.
start experimenting going through doors that we think we may have already been through from the other direction, because that might trigger the gas again, why don't we try some of the keys first?
Let's do that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Good
So we
idea.
have 3 keys. We have a femur key, a spine key, and
An arm key.
arm
Yeah,
key.
we have a red arm, a red spine, and a white femur.
Okay. Let me just highlight these in my notes so I know where they came from.
I don't think the spine actually is red, but it came from a red skeleton.
Right. Are the numbers next to the holes red at all?
They are painted red. All of them.
I mean, all of them are red, so there's
Yep.
no white numbers.
Nope.
Oh, I wonder if there's 2 versions of every room or something.
That was what I was trying to figure out when I examined that white skeleton.
Yeah, are there red rooms and are there white rooms?
So maybe it is 2 different outcomes or something.
Oh my god.
I
Well,
think there's rooms we have.
So far, you've only seen one outcome. The white-clad skeleton gets decapitated.
Even though we've been in that room twice, we've only seen one outcome.
I think there's rooms we haven't seen.
Oh, well, yes. But I'm thinking maybe if we use a key, then it'll bring us to a new room. Or maybe the keys are what resets it.
Oh, could be.
So you have a spine, a femur, and an arm bone, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
But
I'm just.
the femur was from a white skeleton?
Yep. I'm just trying to track
Yes.
the ones that you have in my notes so that I know where they came from.
Yeah. I've got them written on the rooms where we got them, too.
Let's try the arm. Because it's the only bone we have that's red.
I thought the spine was also red.
It came from a red skeleton, but it's not actually red.
But, I mean, that's basically the same thing. This key also came from a red skeleton. It was from a red-clad
Wasn't
skeleton
the arm actually painted red though?
I don't remember.
I think that the arm bone, yes, is painted red. However, I will.
Is the spine also painted red?
No. The spine
Does
and
that
the
mean it was
femur, spine and the femur are not painted at all. They just look like bones.
I don't know if we're digging into this too far, but does that mean that the arm is a white skeleton's arm painted red?
My brain.
I can't deal with that.
My brain.
That's why I want to try the arm.
Yes.
because
I'm
it's
gonna
painted,
take Mage
and it's
Hand.
painted red.
Yep.
I'm gonna cast Mage Hand and have Mage Hand put the red arm bone into the first hole.
The red arm bone into the first hole. Okay.
Yep.
You put it in.
I'm standing 30 feet back.
You put it in, and you begin to hear a tss as the gas begins to filter down from the ceiling. And I need everyone to make. I need everyone to make a Constitution saving throw.
Hey, that's not fair. You gave us a chance to escape before.
Yeah, that wasn't when you weren't in the center of the room.
She was 30 feet away.
I was 30 feet away.
I rolled a 2.
These are cons?
Yep.
I rolled a... Do we get Thaddeus' aura? I
Nope.
forgot about that or not.
Nope.
Because my charisma
Oh,
is...
because your charisma. Oh, shoot.
Don't we get a +1 anyway? Isn't it?
Oh, you're right.
It's
Yeah,
+1.
so I didn't get a 2. I got a 3.
Ooh.
Okay, so
14
I got
then.
a
14 from Mara.
13.
23.
And what for Hunter?
13?
13. So Harmony... Oh, roll one for Byakko too.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Getting the stats up. Oh, yeah, he passed, no problem. He rolled a 19, and then he gets plus a bunch. That's like a 20
Okay.
something.
So Byakko and Harmony succeed on the save.
Okay.
Everyone else takes 26. Harmony and Byakko take 13 points of poison damage.
And Hunter.
And Hunter, yeah, because resistance. But this poison seems to be filling the room again.
I would
Let's
like to
go
make
through...
the right door.
I want to go to the left door, actually. To the
Okay,
starting room.
left
Wait,
is-
wait.
wait.
Did that one fill with gas when we left?
The starting room did, but I
It
don't
did.
think any of the others did.
Maybe we shouldn't go there.
Yeah, you haven't been back for a
Um,
while, so you don't know what the
so
starting room looks
We're
like
heading
right now.
back to where we think the arm room was.
No, oh my god, we're
That'd be
all...
the spine room.
No,
spine
I
room?
want to...
No, the
Okay,
femur room?
From the door that originally led to this room, from like the first playroom, from that door I want to go right.
So into the femur room.
So-
Potentially.
Potentially, but we haven't been through this door.
I know, but I'm saying the way that I have it drawn on my map is that's the door that connects to the femur room. So if we go through this door and it doesn't connect to the femur room, then
Yeah.
we know your theory is correct.
Then we know that my way of drawing the map is correct.
Okay, so you want to go right from the way you originally entered this room.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is just back.
That's
right?
yeah, that's just
Yeah.
back because that's the way you
Back the
came
way we-
from. That's the
Okay.
way you entered this
Correct.
room.
Yes.
I'm having such a hard time without like a DM map here.
Yeah, I know.
As far as I can tell, we've only tried 2 doors in this room, and there were 4.
Yes. So you came through one,
We came through
and
one.
then
that was
And then
what
we
I
went
have.
Straight
on
ahead
my-
to the spine room.
Wait. That was what I have. The one that we came through is what I have on my map as the east door.
right, and then you went out
I-
from one, and then ended up
Uh-huh.
coming back into this room through another, and then now
Yes.
you've just come into this room from a third direction. So you've now
So if, based on what you just said, Nick, if the
Mhm.
door we came in through from the main room is east, the north door will lead to the femur room, and the south door will lead to the arm room,
Yeah,
and the
that's how I
west
have it.
door leads to the spine room,
That's how I have it too.
as far as we know. Based
Mhm.
on
Everything is
us coming
actually-
back through the doors into this room.
So Nick, you're
Okay.
right that you haven't left from every room in this
Uh-huh.
or every door in this room, but you have between coming and going gone
Yeah.
through you've passed through every door in this room.
Yes.
Are there any doors we haven't been through? I only have one on my map then.
Uh
No.
between coming and going, you've been through every door in this room.
Yes.
No, not in this room, but in
The whole place.
Oh.
I have connections for every door that we've encountered so far.
We haven't gone back and forth through every door, but we've been through every door.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's true. I still would like to try one of the doors that we came into this room from.
That's fine.
Right,
But
so if we're
haven't actually-
backtracking through
Yeah.
the door that's in the north,
Yeah.
Yep.
we'll do that to get away from the poison right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
sure.
then you find yourself back in the room where the majority of the skeletons training are painted white. This is the room where you got the femur.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So we have confirmed that this door will always lead to the femur room.
Yeah.
And the femur was up on the balcony.
Yep.
Let's look at the skeletons that are fighting Wait, this room didn't fill with gas before, did it?
No,
Not
it
yet.
didn't. Not yet.
Okay. So,
So
let's look at the skeletons that are training.
sure. Is the
For
gas
another
coming out of
key?
like a mechanism? Like, is there actually like?
No, it just seems to kind of appear near the ceiling and drift downward.
Okay.
I think we can get a fourth key from the starting room, where red and white are together watching.
I feel like
Play.
we did investigate the starting
We
room.
we investigated the skull, but we didn't investigate either of those figures in that room.
Yep, Nick's right in
And
that.
it's-
I
so
thought we
far,
did.
no. So far, all of the keys we've gotten have come from one of the two skeletons, and we didn't investigate either of those skeletons in the starting room.
Well, it was filling with gas, so I don't know if it's safe to go back there or not.
Yeah,
Is there
because
a
we
way-
took down the tiger skull, right? But
Yeah.
we didn't look at. Okay.
Is there a way to check these rooms without? Oh, can I use my scope? Can I like poke the scope through?
Oh, that's an idea. I'd say, yeah, that's clever. Why don't you try it?
All right, I'll try it. So
Yeah.
I'll grab my scope and poke it through.
Yeah.
And look through it.
When you poke just the scope through, you can see that the gas in this room has dissipated. It probably filled the room and then after a minute dissipated.
Okay, it's clear.
All right,
So
let's
says
go.
the scope.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go back to the playroom.
Literally scoped it out.
I did. It needs to be a periscope for you though.
All right, so you're back in the initial room that you first entered, where you saw the skeletons training, being overlooked by both the red and the white clad samurai
So we
skeletons.
need to climb up to the balcony for this
Yeah.
one too, because
Yes.
that's where they are.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm on my way.
Okay,
I will climb up.
Maybe both of them have one, and then our problems are solved.
Hopefully.
that would be amazing.
So I will climb up to the balcony.
Okay. Once you're up on the balcony in this room, again, it's crowded. Let me see, where... roll and... Do you want to just basically, like, dismantle these guys? In which case you can do it without an investigation check. But if you're trying to be delicate...
I'm trying to be delicate first.
Alright, make an investigation check then.
What's the point?
Okay, Harmony. 20.
Harmony's just shouting from down there, just rip them apart!
23, you said?
Yep.
Oh, dang. Okay. Yeah, you kind of poke around through the plates of the skeleton's armor. You don't find anything on the one that's clad in the white samurai armor,
Crap.
but on the one that is clad in the red samurai armor, you find that one of its ribs, the point of it, is filed into a key, and you can kind of break that off
Okay.
if you want.
I do so.
Yep.
And then I lift it up so everyone can see it. All right. Rib key.
So we still need one more.
Yeah.
Were there any, from the, looking at the bodies that were hanging in the tree room, were any of them clad in the white or red armor?
No, and you investigated that room pretty thoroughly, and we're
Yeah.
very sure that you didn't find anything else in that room.
I hope they weren't on the skeletons outside.
So to recap, from the way that you entered this room, there's a door straight across, and there's a door to the right, but there's
Correct.
nothing on the left wall.
Can we? I wonder if we should look for hidden doors soon.
Yeah, that's probably. Let's try that. Because
Okay.
it feels like there should be one leading to a wing of this place where white wins.
Yeah. So I guess my two theories are: one, there's hidden doors. Two is that there's some way to control a timeline or something of the outcomes or the events that happen based off how you walk through the rooms. Because there is a way to walk to all the outside rooms and then go into the tree room, which seems to be
Yeah.
the last room.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a path.
So the path would be rib, femur, spine, arm.
Correct. If we do that, or it's the opposite, where it's rib, arm, spine, femur. So you can go clockwise or counterclockwise in this case.
Let's look for a hidden door here.
Okay. So, Ethan, I'm gonna look for a hidden door on the, how we draw it, east side, or where we entered, the left wall.
Okay.
I
As-
help?
Yeah, sure. Roll an investigation check at advantage.
25.
25. As you're feeling along the wall, right where you feel like in the center of the wall where there should be a door, you do feel like a little bit of a frame, like there's something blocking a space there. And Hunter, as you sort of touch the wall there, you notice that it doesn't actually feel like wood. It has a little bit of like give to it, like a squish. Why don't you go ahead and roll for me a survival check at advantage.
Okay. I got a 15 plus 5.
Okay.
Our thing is plus 5, right? So 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
As you touch the wall and feel a little bit of give, you're suddenly reminded of a very hard to spot spirit that you've encountered before. These spirits will basically stand in the way of travelers on the road or things like that, and present a near seamless wall that they can't seem to get around no matter what. But you also know that there's one simple trick.
Ticklish?
Yeah, there's one simple trick to get them to move that most people don't know, which is that they're extremely ticklish.
Okay, yeah, so knowing this, I'm like, so I stand there and I'm like arms crossed, and then like, I guess since I'm like human, you can see like a smirk come across my face, and then I'm like, alright guys, and then I just walked up to it, and you see me start tickling the wall.
And as he does so, basically it's very kind of strange and ominous as basically features begin to like sprout from the wall. You see like an eye, and then a second eye, and then a third eye pop up on near the top of that section of the wall. And these eyes are kind of like multicolored and very strange. But then there's a big bulbous nose that pops out under there, followed by a fanged mouth that just starts laughing as he's tickling the wall. And then lastly, it's just there's like a popping sound, and then these big elephant-like ears sprout, and you can see this thing here. If you can get a look at that.
So ugly.
Yep, it's a very ugly
Beautiful.
creature, and it just starts laughing and laughing and laughing, and then there's it starts to swell a little bit inside and in size, and then there's and it just explodes like a balloon and is gone.
Pops.
And you can see a white doorway where it was.
Well guys, I think this solves our problem.
Good job.
You want to go through in case there's gas?
Yep, and I'll pull my scope out.
Okay.
Okay.
You poke the scope through and look into the room, and what you see is a room that is decorated with statues of trees, but unlike the forest you've seen before, these ones aren't painted black.
The inverse.
And you don't actually see any skeletons at all at this point in time when you poke
interesting.
the thing in. It's just a stage decorated with statues of trees.
Are there any other doors in this room?
Yes, actually, you can see doors when you look into this room going left, right, and straight.
Blocking both.
Femur, rib. So this is trees and a stage. Okay,
My
so
map is now in my notes.
I feel like we're in some kind of Dungeons and Dragons version of Monsters, Inc.
don't worry, I got this. So we walk in the room. And there's a stage, just like the other tree room, right?
But there are no skeletons?
Right.
Are
So
there holes in the floor?
Hunter, once the group of you walk in, as soon as you step into the room, the scene begins to play out. The red-clad skeleton runs out from behind one of the trees, and it's looking around frantically, like it's terrified of something, and it takes to center stage. It's then followed by those black-painted skeletons that were manipulating the dark streamers ominously, and they're just continuously waving the dark streamers around it, dancing in sort of a ritualistic manner around the skeleton, which then clutches at its head and falls to its knees. As it falls, it's frantically trying to scramble away from these black skeletons, but it can't get away. Its hand finds the hilt of its sword, and as the black skeletons kind of surround it with those black streamers and fabric that they're waving, it takes the sword and plunges it into its own rib cage, mimicking its gruesome death as it sort of then fakes its own suicide. And then the black painted skeletons surround it with the whirling black fabrics and sort of pile onto it and then dance away behind the trees. And when they're gone, the red-clad skeleton is also gone, but there's something laying in its place.
All right, I will go look at what it was in its place.
When you step up onto the stage and sort of stride towards the center where the red-clad skeleton just mimed its own suicide, you see a key carved from the sternum of a skeleton.
Sternum key. All right.
Sternum key. Well, that's 5 keys. Is it red or white?
It's not painted. Oh, actually, no, I lied. This one is painted white.
It's painted white.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 1 painted white, we have 1
W-
painted red, and we have 3 that are not painted at all.
Yep.
W sternum key. What was the red one? The arm?
The red one was the arm.
Yeah.
R arm key. Okay. That looks like right arm key. Oh, well, whatever. Well, I know we have 5. Oh, on this stage, since it's similar to the forest one or the other, there's no keyholes here though, right?
Right, there's nothing else in the ground here that you can see.
But we have 3 more doors to check out, you guys.
Yeah.
You better check
Happy
these
day.
doors. Well,
Let's check out the left one.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So,
Left as in south.
I'll scope it out.
Yeah,
Left from the
Okay.
from the way that we came. Oh no, north.
Yeah.
North.
Okay.
so left...
But before we go on though, back in the original room, that was the only hidden door. Were there others?
Yeah, the other 3 walls all had visible doors.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So if you're going left from the way that you entered this room, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Right.
You find yourselves back in...
No.
Yes. Back in the room where you found the femur, where sort of the majority of the training skeletons are painted white, and the skeleton in the red armor
Are we coming through an existing door, or is this a door that was hidden before?
This is a door that was hidden before.
Okay.
On the east side?
Yes.
On the east side.
Okay.
So...
Sorry, can you continue your description?
Right.
Sorry.
I was just saying it's the same room where the skeleton in red on the balcony was not looking at the training, but instead was looking at the skeleton in white.
Where we found the femur.
Yep.
So Okay. So we'll back to the
Yeah, let's
W
go back.
sternum key. We go through...
Yeah, Hunter, Byakko kind of paws at you at this point in time. He kind of paws at you a little bit.
I'll paw back at him.
Okay. He just kind of... he
Yeah, but
just...
I will... I'll cast Speak with Animals.
Oh, okay.
If that's what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, that was the sign.
Unless he visibly motioned something.
No, he was just trying to get your attention, and so when you cast Speak with Animals, he kind of meows to you. I feel as if we now have all the pieces to a story, and it's all that's left is now to put them in order.
I think I know the order. I think probably the rest of you should do that too.
Okay. So I guess we don't really need to explore these other passageways. I'm assuming there's going to bring us to the spine and the arm area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So let's get back to the hanging room.
Okay. So we'll head through the femur room, I guess,
Straight
since we're there,
through. Yeah.
and then I'll scope out the
The black tree room.
I was gonna say the gas room, the tree room. Make sure the gas is gone.
Yeah, as you put the scope in there, it's been a little while, so it looks like the gas is pretty much just about dissipating.
Okay, so I'll
Probably if you wait about a minute more, it'll be gone.
So I figure that we'll have a little conversation outside the room, but we need to wait
Okay.
for a minute.
So
Okay, so what's the story?
What's the order that you're thinking, Sadie?
I think the ribbon one, then the femur in 2, the arm in 3, the spine in 4, and the sternum in 5.
Okay.
Because that tells the story of the two friends being equal, the red person missing, or no, the red person looking at white, the red person being missing, the fight, and then the suicide.
Why was the red person missing? Are you sure it doesn't go rib, femur, sternum, arm, spine? Or arm,
No.
It was
sternum,
sternum.
spine?
The sternum is last.
Yeah, I
Sternum
think
is
But
sternum is
wait,
last.
but no, I don't think the sternum's last. I think the spine is last, because the sternum, I don't know if he actually died because the magic kind of consumed him. What if he got possessed and that's why he attacked the white guy?
Oh, it's possible.
Oh, that is...
Because he had the magic stuff during the fight with the spine, in the spine room. The magic was there,
You think he was
helping him
already...
win.
You think he was already dead when that fight happened?
Maybe, or maybe he didn't die. Or maybe he died and got possessed by something.
You think maybe the crying skeleton in the arm room
Is
was
last?
crying? No, I don't think it's last. I think it's third. I think we're just trying to figure out the order of 4 and 5. But was he crying because Red had left him? Or was he crying because Red had committed suicide?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think the second is more likely, because that would explain why they both died.
So you think that they were equals, they looked at each other, Red committed suicide, White cried, and then Red returned as a vengeful ghost?
What order does that end up becoming?
That becomes
Rib, femur, arm, sternum, spine.
Sternum, spine.
yeah, rib and femur I think are the first 2 steps no matter what.
So in the femur room, why is Red looking at white?
I think it...
So if you want a reminder of the details of that room, the one where you pulled
We're
the
in
femur.
it right now. We could be
Right.
watching.
Yeah.
Red is looking at white instead of the training, and the training below, the majority of the skeletons are painted white, whereas only a few are painted red. And then the tiger skull has moved off-center to sit behind the skeleton in white.
Yeah,
Okay.
it felt off balance. It felt like Red was jealous.
He's upset, or that he's losing favor, maybe. So then it goes rib, femur, sternum, arm, spine.
I don't
Because
think
isn't
so.
You think
this is
the arm is third and sternum is fourth?
Well, let me tell you the story that I think happened, that I think explains the order. Is I think that there was a balance, everything was fine, and then this room, Red saw that White had more devotees. Then I think he left or something, and I think that's why third is crying. I think that there was a confrontation because I think maybe he attacked White out of jealousy, and then after having killed White, he realized his crime did himself in.
So you disregard my idea with the magic possessing.
Yeah, but
no,
what about all the
do
black?
No, it's a good point. I don't want to disregard it because I think you're right about that. But it's either way, it's hard to make the story line up because we just don't know what happened.
After Thaddeus gives his theory and Harmony's given hers, Byakko says to Hunter, I think both theories seem plausible, but there's one character that we're forgetting to consider, and that's the spirit of the forest that now inhabits this area. Perhaps there's some clue there.
Yeah, it could be that it's unfinished, where maybe Red's demise is after we put the keys in. And then maybe that's the last chapter, so to speak, or the last play.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 are clear. It's Red, White femur. But then I don't know what happens after that.
Oh.
I think you're probably right, Harmony. I think probably it does go sternum to spine. So you
Or
think
sternum to arm and then spine, or arm, sternum, spine.
sternum, arm, spine seems possible. So let's do rib, femur, sternum, arm, spine.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Well,
he could have
luckily-
gone off to try and find power somewhere, and then he gets overcome and possessed.
And so
Which
luckily we know
has
Because
been
he was
happening quite a bit.
Running
It's
scared
sort of,
into the room.
it's sort of the story of not just that happening, but what's happened recently.
Right. That's true. All right, let's go back to the black tree room and we'll try it in that order.
Okay. So
And
maybe
we should stand. We
How
can
about
stand
I'll
next to
try
the
it.
door.
you guys stand next to the door.
Well, we can stand next to the door, and I'll just use Mage Hand, and then we can piece out through a door if it gets
Yeah.
Yeah, because the
Makes
second we
sense.
put the wrong key in, the gas goes
Yeah.
down.
right.
So, and then we'll know where our mistake is if we made one. But hopefully,
Can I stand next to the door and reach the keyhole from where we are?
Yeah, just barely, since you've got like a
If I,
30-foot range with Mage
Yeah.
Hand. Yeah. So you can just barely reach it.
okay.
Let's give it a
Alright.
shot.
So we'll stand next to the door, and I will take the rib key with Mage Hand, and I'll put it in the first hole.
Okay, so rib key first.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check my order. You put it in, and there's a click as the key goes in, and then there's like a turn, and you feel it lock in place.
Oh.
Mm.
I think that works, guys. All right, so
Well,
femur next.
now we know what a wrong guess looks like and a right guess.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if we get it wrong, we can always run out and then wait a second, come back
Yep,
and try it
yep,
the
yep,
other
yep.
way.
So then it's
Okay.
And we are recording. Great. So you find
So-
yourselves back in the room you were in before, and
Yeah, it's
safe
next to the
from the
door,
gas.
okay.
Okay.
So then the question is it arm, sternum, spine then?
I think it's arm, spine, sternum.
So you think the suicide's last?
I think so. I think, and here's why. I think that the dark energy that came up, that we saw in the spine room during the fight, I think that stayed with him. He called on it, but it was his death.
So he called on it to kill his friend in the spine room, and then after that, that's what he was running away from.
I think so.
Okay, that makes sense. So arm, spine, sternum.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
So after you wait a few minutes, poke in with the scope to confirm that the gas is gone, it dissipates, and you are going to go and then put arm bone in the next one?
Yeah, did the first two stay where they were?
Yeah, they stayed locked in place.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we'll do arm next.
Okay, there's a click. Clicks in place.
Oh, there it is.
And then spine.
And then, yeah.
Click. Clicks in place.
And then
Alright.
sternum.
Okay, and then with that last click, as you put the sternum in, there's a blinding flash of white and red and black light, and you find yourselves standing in the same clearing that featured the temple originally. This sort of peeling white painted multi-story temple, but you're standing behind the temple in an open field. And there is sort of just a silence about the area. Why don't you guys... Well, actually, I think you can still tell, now that you've experienced it several times. You're very aware as you sort of get your bearings in this field behind the temple that you're still in the spirit world.
Okay.
But there's a bit of a silence that follows that, and then before any of you sense anything, Byakko kind of lets out a low growl and turns to Hunter and says, "Something very evil is coming. I can feel it."
Oh boy.
Does this place look like the dream anybody had? Remember when everyone was having dreams of like all
I
the
mean,
spirits?
only
That'd be
Byak-
mine, right?
Only Hunter had a dream of Byak.
Yeah.
Does it?
Is this like the place in your dream?
The place in your dream, it featured a forest in fall, so in some ways it's very similar because the leaves are all red and orange and things like that. Not this specific temple wasn't featured, but it very well could be the same area that you saw in your dream.
Okay, and then so I'll tell everyone something's coming. Get ready.
Bone tingling.
Thaddeus gets his sword out.
I'll
Yep.
take my bow out.
And the group of you feel that same sort of rumbling you felt before you rushed into the temple, and it's sort of like followed by a clattering as something is moving through the forest from all directions, and you watch as the same deluge of bones begins to climb over itself in a wave-like fashion and assemble into this mass of bones in the middle of the field before you.
I stand behind Hunter.
Yep, it rises
I
up
stand behind her.
to a massive height of 50 or 60 feet before you watch as the bones begin to coalesce into a vaguely humanoid form, and you find yourselves witnessing this monstrosity.
Yep.
Fuck.
Boy.
Yashadakura.
Yep.
Yep.
As it rises up, there's this rumbling sound from up above where its skull-like head is, and it says, "This forest belongs to me. I claim all souls who enter here, and you will be no exception."
Not anymore, asshole!
And Byakko lets out starts as sort of a low growl, but it builds until it's a deafening roar, and you kind of have to like clasp at your ears. And you hear rumbling from his throat. All of you hear this, not just Hunter who's cast the spell. You hear this loud and powerful voice say, "I can't do much to help you here, but I'll do what I can." And Byakko then begins to swell
Megazord.
and increase in size. And as he does so, his fur, the texture of his body, begins to take on this stone appearance. It's this white painted stone
Divine Beast Byakko.
with like black stripes made of other types of stone and things like that, until Byakko is this massive, maybe half as tall as the giant skeleton that stands before you, stone creature. And then he sort of from behind you lowers his body to the ground, and you can see that there is actually a passage. He opens his giant tiger mouth, and you can see that there's a passageway going into this stone tiger.
Oh yes.
And he
I'm
says,
jumping right in.
"Get in, and we'll fight this thing together." This voice echoes through your mind.
Is this Power Rangers now? Is that what you're saying?
And we're still a little ways
Oh,
off
yeah.
from the 2-hour mark, but I think that's a good place to end this episode.
Man. Is it though? I don't think so.
Oh my
This is
god.
the worst place to stop.
We only have to wait one day.
I need more. Right now.
Yeah, so guys, I really wanted to have a mech fight in this arc, and here it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh no, it's Bone Blight Ganon.
Um,
Oh no.
so I've been really excited for this, and now I think
Oh,
I will
so
show you
excited.
guys my map for the dungeon,
Okay.
if you can see that at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, mine was completely wrong.
Yeah. So room E is the one that was sort of sealed off by the spirit. So no entrances to room E were visible until you figured out the spirit and tickled it and got it away.
Yeah, we kinda got
So I think K was probably the closest.
Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah. What I thought was the reason my map was so wrong. Well, I'll tell you after we're offline.
Anyways,
Alright.
I hope you guys had fun with that little
That was
puzzle
great.
dungeon.
I liked
Oh
it.
my god. I was about ready to start pulling my hair out.
Really?
When I
I
was
got
At
to
a
tickle
point.
the wall.
when I was
Well,
It was
when it-
ticklish.
When it got to the point where we were considering rooms leading to different places if you go through the doors in different directions, I was like, no, please don't bring my
Take us
friends
2 weeks.
for that.
I was ready for it.
when I was trying to plan this arc, I had like the first and the last piece, right? I had the forest leading up to it, and like the spirits that lived in there and whatever. And then I also had the mech fight at the end, but I was like, I don't have anything to connect it. Where's my connecting piece? And then I found this thing online about sort of non-linear dungeons like this, where like doors connect to different places and things like that. And I thought it was so cool. I was like, I gotta put that in. And so I was hoping that would be kind of cool as like a storytelling dungeon. I don't know.
I liked it.
I it was good.
I liked it too.
Yeah, that was good. I liked how you incorporated the history of the play with the plays too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the very last piece of the planning to come together. It was like, what do I put in this dungeon? Oh, okay, I got it. Let's make it a play that they have to piece together. So
Very clever.
Yeah, that was good.
I was happy with it. And hey, look, Skype held up for the most part, so that's great.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good.
Great. Yeah.
Better.
We're ending right before the mech fight.
You want to do a sign off?
Yeah, okay, so thank you to anyone who watched through the video. We hope you enjoyed it.